Greetings and welcome. This is a very special developer's commentary for my latest and first custom map of 2016. It is called Wendy, and I am going to walk through the map, so there will be spoilers. I'm going to talk about the conceptualization of the map, the inspiration, how it was built, all that good stuff. And right off the bat, I'm going to start off by saying every good map that I make starts with a song that is stuck in my head. This one is no different. That is Wendy by The Association, and that is pretty much the song that was going through my head when I played a little custom map by a guy named CPM 4001 called Boxing Day. And Boxing Day was set in a very small city neighborhood, and I decided that I really wanted to capture that feeling of modern day Minecraft. Now, you start here on an island, and if it's not clear once you play the map, this is actually a flashback. This is a flashback to what occurs before you get to the neighborhood. So we'll just take a quick peek around the island. We have Wendy up in a tree. Now, Wendy actually has the player head of Aurelian. I was actually looking for a player head with like long blonde hair, but I couldn't find one that worked for me, so I just went with Aurelian's head because I always thought she had a nice face. You're going to see a lot of NPCs in this map, and for example, Q-Magnet, there's Nia from Two Girls One Minecraft, there's Michael Deering from MHC, my son Kadop. There are some folks back there in the singles crews, and a couple of the things that I want to say are, I did not put people in roles based on anything personal about them. It was mainly based on the look of their skin. So, for example, over here on the ship, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and go into creative mode so I can show you around a little easier. Over here on the ship, we have max sizes, and I just always thought his skin kind of looked like Captain Crunch, and so therefore he's the captain of the cruise ship. So that's just an example. You'll see in the map Bongotaz is the jogger because he was wearing red and kind of looked like a hooded jogging outfit. Jagarbov is the postman because I thought his skin could fit a postman. CFG is a cop, etc. Okay, so this map is in 3 acts. And the first act is really involving what's called Wendy is Missing. So when you first come into this map, there's some things you can find on this island. One of them is a boarding pass for Cruise of Love. That's a sort of play on City of Love. And the other thing that you find here on the island is an inflatable life vest. Now, this was strategically put here because later on in the map, you're going to get a leather jacket. And during the beta testing, special thanks to Felonius, to Jagarbov, to Unlikely Waffle, and to Kavolta, and I'm missing somebody's name. I really apologize. Who else? Oh, CPM. They beta tested it, and a couple of them had issues where they forgot when they picked up the leather jacket, which is intended to be given to an NPC, they actually wore it, and so instead of remembering that they were wearing it and giving it to an NPC, they walked around and got a little lost. So I'm giving you an enchanted gold one right off the bat. The intention as a map maker is that you're going to wear this vest, and therefore you're going to be less likely to put the blue one on, the cyan one on later. Okay, I mentioned cyan. The NPC wool body colors are very important in this map. They have different meanings, but the two that you're going to care about the most is that Wendy is the pink wool, and there's another character that I will introduce you to in a minute, who is the cyan wool. Those are the two that are most important. And before I go too much farther, I want to say that, so I was in CPM's map, Boxing Day, which has sort of a twisted love story, if you will, sort of a heartbreak story. When I played it, my memories of that map were at dusk. And so that's what I have frozen the time in this map at that. So you've got the sun setting over here. I want to mention that Wendy up in this tree picking coconuts is a direct reference to Kate from Lost in one of the first episodes, where she climbs up a tree and she drops coconuts. So this is a tutorial block. It is teaching you to take things from the item frame. So it's saying pick up Wendy's coconut. Very specific. There's also a tutorial sign over here which says, "It's like an invisible force holding me back. I can't leave while she's here. So beautiful." It has two functions. One is to explain, why do I have barrier blocks that don't let you go where it looks like you should be able to go. But two, it also kind of starts to build your character and your obsession with Wendy at this point in the story. And this is just here for fun. This was originally called Volume, and Jagarbov was concerned that it didn't actually increase the volume of the note blocks. So I changed it to, say, Channel, just for fun. This map actually started, so I keep getting distracted from what I'm going to say. So get used to that. That will happen a lot in this video. I was in CPM's map, and I had this song, Wendy, stuck in my head. I wanted to capture the feel of kind of this city, this loneliness. And a lot of my maps lately, I want to capture this sense that you, the player, don't know exactly who your character is, but you're going to find out by the things that other characters say to you and the actions. I don't want to put words in your mouth, so in this map, I do not have any dialogue from the player, but I do have thoughts that occur in your head, and I do try to direct your path in at least one place with barriers, and in other places by strategically placing items, colors, effects, which I'll talk about. Now, so I had this song stuck in my head, and the first thing that I did before I even really knew what I wanted to make a map about was I started writing down some of the poetry that you find in this map. And so I had a notepad file, and I said, okay, one of the things that you're going to find in this map are crumpled up notes that were discarded from somebody. And I wrote down, and Wendy had pale blue eyes, and Wendy had long white teeth, and Wendy had lofty goals, something, something out of reach. And then I was thinking, this is, so your character is some sort of a poet who is writing things down and then crumpling them up and tossing them in the garbage. And you as the player digging through his garbage are going to find these weird little unfinished crappy poems and be like, okay, this is really weird. Who is this guy or girl? Could be a girl. The next one I wrote is Wendigo, 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 Wendigo. And then I wrote, she's vicious and cruel. She's in love with not loving. And then I thought there should be some blank crumpled up papers. And then there should be some papers where the poet is trying to figure out some rhyme schemes. So he's just writing down a bunch of words that rhyme with Wendy, like bendy and trendy. And then there's a pros and cons list and a couple others. So not all of them made it into the map, but I have a whole document of notes that the player has written trying to write poetry to this girl, Wendy, that he's obsessed with. Okay, so you meet her on a singles cruise. Now, I don't think I ever actually say that it's a singles cruise in the map, but it is. And I want you to just pay close attention. You notice up on the back of the ship here, there's this red, I don't know what it's called, but it's like the thing that's up on top of ships. Okay, let's go into the map, and I'll talk a little bit more. First thing you do is pick up Wendy's coconut. Now, because I'm in creative mode, I'm just going to bust it, but it's fine. You don't actually need this coconut for anything later. And it says, the first time I saw her, she was lying along the trunk. Of course, referring to her up on the trunk of the tree. Now that is super important because the very last line in this map echoes the first line, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. First thing you see is you're at some sort of an outdoor cafe table. There's a waitress here. There's some other patrons over here. There's the girl with the cyan block that I mentioned. And there's this other crumpled up note on the table. And this one is, my heart, it's falling apart. It's drifting and lifting away from me. My heart, it's falling apart. You broke it and took it away from me. So this is an actual song that my sister made up when she was probably like in 4th grade, and her and all of her little friends would walk around all day long singing that song to each other. They thought it was so amazing, and I remember thinking it was cheesy, but I was proud of her that she wrote a song. So I thought I would feature it in my map. And again, this is a crumpled paper. Now, when I first made this map, I actually had the crumpled paper laying here on the ground, and a lot of people just walked right on by and didn't even notice it. So I moved it up onto the table as if it's freshly crumpled. Here is the waitress. This is really the first person you're supposed to interact with, although she is actually optional. Her role is really to give you this cash and to teach you that in this map, when you interact with NPCs, sometimes you will learn their names and their names will change. Another thing that you can sort of get from her is that when you're far away, her name disappears and you only see her name when she's close. My original idea for this map was that all of the NPCs were going to have something above their head that say, you don't know this person until you figure out their name. And this cyan person here was going to be the only character that had a different phrase, which was, you don't know her name. So she stood out. But I ultimately felt that was a little bit too subtle and might be hard to grasp. So I made her actually have like the long sentence, and everyone else just has short things like waitress. Over there you'll see postman and lady and her friend. So right now, because of the way I said her friend, I'm drawing the emphasis away from this NPC, which is Jay Gazmon, by the way, to this, which is Alex. The reason that I chose the cyan character to be called Alex is because I was originally intending for this character to be either male or female, depending on choices you made in the map. And you would know the name Alex, but you wouldn't actually be sure who this character is till the end. I scrapped that, but I kept the name Alex because it's very neutral. This is 8-Bit Dame, by the way. I'll try to point out who the NPCs are. Again, I just had a long list of friends that I wanted to put in the map. They don't have any specifics. Now, remember I showed you on top of the cruise ship that red thing? Let me take you on a quick tour around the city. This was built on my Minecraft realm by myself, Kavolta, and Unlikely Waffle. A couple other people from my realm poked in, but they built it, the majority of it. So we have... I wanted it to start in an outdoor cafe, and your character, the intention here is that you're actually been sitting here for a while, watching her, and writing things about what you'll come to think of as being Wendy, but maybe you're actually writing them for her because you're kind of stalking her. Okay. So I was going to show you around the city. This is your apartment building, and it's also this lady's apartment building with the very awesome, I think, telescope that I made. I'm very proud of this. I'll show that off in a minute. One thing about the lady, notice that her name is always on, even when I get far away from her. Unlike Jagarbov here, who is the postman, his name only appears when you get close. That's because she's actually going to be the first primary person that I want you to go and talk to in the map after you leave the starting area. And as you play throughout the map, other NPCs' names will turn off and on, will turn always on or always sorry, they'll either turn always on or they'll turn to this mode where it's only on if you're in range, based on where you're supposed to go. So if you're playing this map and you ever are like, I just don't know who I'm supposed to talk to next, all you have to do is actually just take a look around, and you can see a name. If you see a name tag through a wall, you know that's the person you're trying to get over to next. I will admit that it's not coming off as strongly as I wanted. My beta testers didn't realize that, or at least they didn't verbalize it to me. But I think it's a cool mechanic, so I left it in the map. Okay, so this is your apartment building. This is Wendy's apartment building above a bookstore. This is the Bucket of Glory ice cream shop, and I don't know why these stupid lights in there keep turning off. I don't want to step on that pressure plate. There we go. For some reason, it's got something to do, I think, with MC Edit. The lights up above just sometimes turn off until the game ticks over. This is a church. Inside we've got Box and we've got CPM. I chose them to be in the church, by the way, again, based on their skins. CPM's kind of got a mask. He sort of looks like a mischievous or an evil character. And Box is in all white, and he reminds me of somebody wearing, like somebody from the South, wearing a white suit and a nice white hat on a Sunday. And so they're in the church on opposite sides, representing good and evil. This back here is an under construction building. This is 100% dedicated to Unlikely Waffle, also partially inspired by Box, who both have used this technique where you have like stone, and then you have cobblestone, and then you have fences, looking like, looking like a building that's under construction, like the skeleton. The framework has not been fully put on yet. And then notice this crane here carrying some construction items. And the crane is on top of a big, long building. Oh, no, wait. It's not a building. It's the other side of the ship. So you can see that half of the ship is pointing over here to the island. Half of the ship is providing a really big backdrop to the city. And I just thought that was a clever idea. I didn't want to put the city too far away from spawn. And so that is what I did. I'm pretty proud of that. So we have the Turkish pita. This place with Mamla behind the counter and Buna Boy having a nice pita was named because I asked them, the guys on the server, for a random word. They said Turkish, and one of them said pita. I said, okay, it's a Turkish pita. Here we have the Supermax Dental Center. This was originally not supposed to be a building you can enter. It was just going to be a facade like these back here to block it off. But I really needed to put another choice in the map, and I thought a dental thing would be fine. And I thought Dads Are Funny looks like a dentist, so let's put him in there. There's Mary, his daughter, as the office manager. A little bit of nepotism going on. And then CDF the man with that big white smile I thought would be a great dental patient. We'll go in there in a little while. I want to point out these cool little trash cans. They each contain one item that refers to her Mountain Dew, her discarded gum. These are intended for the player to assume that these items of trash are hers because, again, he's obsessed with this girl named Wendy. Even though they may not be, they just may be random trash. But I just pictured somebody digging through a garbage can, finding some gum that smells like grape, and being like, oh my God, this must be her gum. And then just like clutching it to his breast, wanting to feel closer to her by having something that she had in her mouth. Here's a fire escape. One of the first thoughts that I had for this map was that you were going to break into somebody's apartment, and you break into Wendy's apartment and rustle around when she wasn't home. And this is the Fidelity Fiduciary Bank. That is a title taken from Mary Poppins. That is the bank that Mr. Banks works at. So, of course, I had to do that. Here's Bongo Tez the jogger. Like I said, he's wearing this red hooded sweatshirt thing. So I thought he would be a great jogger. This is the video game store. I'm pretty proud of this build here. And I called it the Stalker's Rest because this is the one building that you can enter at any time during the map, and inside it will have nothing to do with Wendy or Alex. You're free from love in here, and it says, this is the one place she never goes. I can be alone here. So as you're exploring the city, you're going to find hints of Wendy or Alex all over the place. This is the one place that you won't find any. All you'll find in here is references to cool people. Like, now, see, that light just went on to... Minecraft is so strange. Like Unlikely Waffle, like Abe Rightmore, who doesn't have a head with a face on it. So I had to figure out where can I put his head in this map that would fit in. It's a video game store. He is a video game box. Comsger, also a good friend and someone on my realm. And Hawkminer. So they're in here playing some video games, oblivious to the story that is unfolding around them. Here is the Pump and Munch gas station. This is an actual gas station chain in Minnesota. I love my ASCII art of hot dogs. I just have to point out things I love. I like my ASCII art of donuts, although they're not perfect. And it does look pretty cool inside there, if you ask me. Well, I'll talk about that in a little bit. Vespine gas is a reference to something that I added to a gas station in Suburbia with Jigarbov. And he reminded me that I needed to put that in here. The window squeegee is a funny idea by, I think, Cavolta, or was it Unlikely Waffle? Sorry, I can't remember who did it now. One of them two. So Pump and Munch was in CPM 4001's map, and so I stole the name. Here we have a parking lot. This is QWERTY. Here's CFG, the policeman. We'll talk more about him later. I love this car design. I know that it's too thin, but I feel like it's the right height, and it looks like little cars. Mustangs only, so of course I had to put a horse in here, and this one I called Unharmed. A lot of this stuff you will figure out when you play the map. The shady character is Faum. I always put him as the bum in all of my maps because in City of Love, he's the one who created the bum character. And I think the bearded dude with the glasses and the wool hat just kind of reminds me of a bum. Sorry, Faum. Here's the Market Up. This was originally the Mark Watney Memorial Market, but I thought Market Up was a funnier joke because they mark up the prices. And the lights are out in there too. I do not understand why. But in here we have a number of friends from the MHC. We have Technoscribe as the cashier. We have a couple other, Baker Bell and a couple other folks shopping, which we'll see in a bit. And then Alex is back there. But you're not really supposed to notice her back there yet. You can't get it anyway. This is a building that has a very special meaning to me. It's from Chicago, and I have put it in most of my favorite creations in Minecraft. And I put Felonious in here as an office worker because he knows what this building is and why it's special. Back here, we have one of my coolest builds in this map, Beware of Bunny. There's actually the coolest thing that I think is the bunny cage with a little bunny in there. Doesn't it look like an awesome little cage? I've never seen that before. And oh, what's this book here? This is one of 6 books hidden around the map that if you parkour into an unreachable space, well, not unreachable, but if you parkour into a certain space, you can find 6 books with the lyrics to the association song Wendy. Show you those in a little bit. I really like the Jeep that I put here. And do you know this reference? I was really surprised when most of my beta testers did not get this reference. I thought this was like a household name at this point. FN2187 is the call sign of a stormtrooper from the new Star Wars movie Force Awakens, otherwise known as Finn. This is the McDonald's sushi. So McDonald's has branched out from burgers and is now opening sushi joints. This was built by Cavolta. And I wanted to, of course, add McDonald's, which is another Suburbia and Color of Infinity reference. But I wanted to put Kavolta in here, and so he tells you that nope, there are no takeout orders under her name. So the idea is that you came into this restaurant, and you can come in here at any time. This particular thing has no bearing on your score, or I should say your karma, which I track to give you multiple endings in this map. And he says there's no orders under her name. So this is basically to imply that you've come in here and asked if there are any takeout orders for Wendy that you can pick up and take for her. Because again, you're obsessed with this girl. You're actually stalking her. So you know where she eats. You know what orders. And you try to insert yourself into her life without her knowing. The beginning was supposed to imply that you had a relationship with her, but as you go through the map, you learn that you didn't. You've just been stalking her. Over here, we have the Harry Dresden Paranormal Investigative Services. Unlikely Waffle was the first to get this reference from the Dresden Files, an awesome, awesome series of books, a not-so-great TV show. Please be seated till your number is called. This is Granny's Got Game, the receptionist. She has Wendy's last paycheck. So here, again, you're coming into her place of business, and you're going to take her last paycheck. And we'll get to that in a little bit. That actually is an example that gives you negative karma because you shouldn't be taking things that don't belong to you. And that actually affects the ending of the game that is chosen. Okay, we looked at the church. Did we look at Jim Sack in the ice cream parlor? And Wreckabilly as the customer. I really like the ice cream inside of these cauldrons. The whole reason this is here is because I wanted a building with a red and white striped awning like a Fannie Mae candy store. And while I was building this, I was talking to Unlikely Waffle and Kavolta, and I think Felonious at that point, and we were talking about these red mushroom blocks and how to get one, and I just said, I have to put a red mushroom block somewhere in this map. And that pattern reminded me of some wrapping paper that I had received gifts wrapped in the red and white speckled wrapping paper as a kid from my grandmother. And she was listening to Shirley Temple songs on the radio at the time. And we were having Fannie Mae candy while we were eating. So anyway, it all kind of comes together for a special meaning for me. So there's Jim Sack, one of the 60-minute map makers. I think I showed you all the rest of the buildings at this point. So I will get back to... Oh, and this water tower up here, by the way, has been in several of my maps, particularly Fear and a Handful of Dust. This is actually sort of my silent tribute to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics, because at one point they were on a rooftop with with a water tower on it. I mean, basically that's the gist. And then I thought of one more thing. I want to show off this bookstore in here with this security camera, because I had to hide a command block from up above. And then this banner back here is supposed to be sort of like one of those Japanese wall scrolls. This was made by Unlikely Waffle. So it is here in the bookstore. In this particular map, you can't enter the bookstore, but maybe in future vignettes you will be able to. Okay, so as you see, I want to give you the impression. So in this map, I want you to have moments where your character does things and you question, like, wait, why would he do that? Why is he thinking that? And my thought process there is that he's doing things that he almost can't control. His subconscious, his desire to be with Wendy and eventually with Alex, is driving him to do things that a normal person just wouldn't do. I don't know if he has a mental illness. I don't know if he's just crazy, but he certainly is obsessed. And that is how I justify some of the actions. So one of the first things you see is I've got to get up to the apartment, but I don't have the key. Now, I originally wanted this to say, but I don't have my key, because I wanted you to think that you were just trying to break into your own apartment and not realizing it wasn't yours, that you were being a creeper. But I felt like that was too misleading, because you wouldn't have a key to her apartment. So I've got to get up to the apartment, but I don't have the key. So I'm hoping at this point that you're kind of like, okay, I really want to get up there. Like, my body is not even letting me go anywhere else down the street. Ignore the town. All I can think about is getting over here. And it's close enough that you shouldn't get too frustrated because you're not like going through the whole town with barrier blocks. You're just going a short distance. So you climb up here, you break into this apartment. I can still smell Wendy in the apartment. Is this her jacket? I could return it to her. Now, originally I was thinking that you would be picking up her jacket. So I have to give you motivation, right? I was thinking that the first motivation would be to pick up the jacket because you need to wipe away your fingerprints. But I didn't want to make it that obvious that you were breaking and entering. So I put in the text that I could return it to her. And I think that does two things. One is it gives you a noble cause. It gives you a quest. Ooh, I need to hold on to this because I need to return it to her. Oh, and by the way, if I right-click it, it's not going to go on my body because I'm already wearing a jacket. Okay, see? See, this is Map Design 101. Oh, I don't even remember putting that carpet up there. And then here again, the mushroom blocks that I so desperately wanted to put into this map make a very nice bedspread. There is a trunk in her room that is locked. Now, I'm going to harken back to the very first line that you saw in the map, which was the first time I saw her, she was lying along the trunk. So there's a trunk here near a bed where she might lie down. Spoiler or foreshadow. You choose. Okay, so you have the jacket, and at this point, all the barriers are gone. So now you have access to parkour around if you would like to. You can see on the back of the McDonald's sign is another one of those books. There was actually a book over here in the starting area. And I have to say, I'm pretty proud of the path that you have to take to get to some of these books. So let me show you these really quick. There's the first one. The second one is on the McDonald's sign. So you saw that I was able to get up over here from there. So I get over here to the McDonald's sign. And Kavolta and Unlikely Waffle helped me with this parkour bit here. The next ones that you can get to, you can either jump over to here by going kind of along this side, which I'll show you in a minute, or you can take this this longer course of action. Whoops, I did the same thing that Waffle did in his LP. The way that I do this is actually going this way. I feel like this way is easier to go. This parkour is 100% optional. But it does lead to the clue books that I mentioned earlier. And if I remember correctly, yep, whoops. If I hadn't fallen, you jump to here, and then you jump to here, and then you can get up here. And you can get up here for the third book. And then you can cross over here. And you can cross this. Don't fall down there because you won't be able to get back up. You'll have to go off. You cross this. You jump over here. And there's a fourth book. Let's see. If I am on the Stalker's Rest, as I said before, you can jump over to here. I swear you can do it. There you go. And then you can do this really tricky jump around the corner, or you can go back over to here and do the easy way, which is like this. There's the fifth book. And then the sixth book, okay, is if you were to have gone up the fire escape and go over this way, and then pop this down. Oh, maybe you have to jump for it. Oh, whoops. I right-clicked on that. You jump onto there, and then you jump up here, and you can get behind the Beware of Bunny to get the 6th book. So those are the 6 books that you can find if you're just inclined to try to get past my barriers. Okay, so back to the story. So now you've got her jacket, and it says, you know, maybe I should return it to her. Although when you come back over here, they're just ignoring you. There's no, well, you don't actually know that it's hers per se at this point. You haven't been told that it's her yet. You're thinking this is Wendy's jacket, actually, because Wendy's the only named her that you've been introduced to. So at this point, the lady is actually enabled, and that's your first real goal. Along the way, you can check out some of the shops. Like, for example, when you go into the ice cream store... Oh, I think it already triggered, didn't it? It said, Wendy always liked pink bubblegum, but I'm starting to crave a scoop of Cyan Dream. So Alex is wearing the cyan. So you're starting to now get a little bit obsessed with Alex as well as Wendy. And as you go around, okay, I'm going to leave her for last. Let's go to Jig first. So Jig, the postman with his little postal bag, has Wendy's mail. If you take this, you lose some karma because you shouldn't be taking someone else's mail. Oh, can you give this letter to her? Well, I'm really not supposed to do this, but I haven't been able to deliver it since she didn't list the forwarding address. Thanks, see ya. Because I feel like Jig likes to drop a bomb and disappear a lot of times, and I think that's endearing. So you take Wendy's mail and you get -1 karma. You saw the sort of nausea effect, and that's basically trying to reinforce the sort of awkward feeling that you get when you do something you know you're not supposed to be doing. And let's see, if you take the paycheck, I'm actually going to go into game mode A for this one because I want to actually have the sunflower in my inventory. Wendy, she doesn't show up for work in a week. Then she has the nerve to send you to pick up her last paycheck. Doesn't even call in person. Oh, take it. She's fired. So Wendy hasn't shown up for work in a while. At the very beginning of this video, a long time ago, I said that Wendy is missing. That's Act 1. So she's got no orders. She hasn't picked up her mail. She is not picked up her last paycheck. I think those are the only ones that are actually enabled at the moment. Yep, so she's missing. And then you have to go over here to the lady. Actually, I'm going to go back into game mode A. So this lady, this is Jade LF, by the way. I kept changing the name. I didn't want to imply that she's an old lady, which was what I had first. But anyway, her name had many iterations. She's carrying a record player. Excuse me, darling, would you be a dear and help an old lady carry this heavy gizmo into her apartment? I'll make it worth your while. So I started to want to put a little bit of innuendo in her speech. I'll make it worth your while, and darling, and I love this visual. This hallway is so garish and ugly with the horrible, horrible red ceiling and the weirdly painted leopard spotted walls, but I love it. Her apartment is open, and she has a cat named Dorothy. I don't know why, but I wanted to have a cat named Dorothy in this map. Originally, Dorothy was up in Wendy's apartment, but I didn't actually want... well, and I thought that when you first went into Wendy's apartment, she would go scurrying under the bed, but I removed that because I actually didn't want... I didn't want you to see a living being while you were in Wendy's apartment. I didn't want you to be caught. Also, I should have pointed out the the Unlimited Parcel Services truck outside. And one thing that I forgot to do, but I left it, was I wanted her dialogue to say, her outside dialogue to say, to carry it in and place it up against the plug in the wall. So this is supposed to be an electrical socket. That's why it's exposed. It's the only exposed redstone in the map. And if you mouse over the item, you'll see that it can be placed on a block of gold. I believe this is the only block of gold in the entire map. I believe so. Also, I like that aerial antenna up there. Okay, so you place it here, and now you take the record from her. Oh yes, you know right where to stick it. Again with the innuendo. These old fingers were just getting too stiff to do it myself. Oh boy. Sigh. My old piano used to go there, but my last student left town and I had to sell her. Sell her, meaning the piano. That record was Wendy's favorite song. Play it for me. Oh, so this is Wendy's piano teacher. You see her name has changed. So now this is the end of Act 1. So Wendy is missing was Act 1. When you place the record in, you yourself have learned that this is Wendy's favorite song. And by the way, it is Cat. Wendy's favorite song, you think. All right, now you are warped to your apartment, which is in the same building. Oh, look, it's right across from Wendy's apartment. And gee, there's a telescope here. Yes, you are Peeping Tom. You spy on Wendy. You can leave the apartment, and there's the landlord. Come back to him in a second, but you cannot leave the building just yet. So you are upstairs in your apartment. You also have a locked trunk, and that is really a map maker's trick, because the two endings are either in that building over there or in this room. And either way, the last thing you will do is open the trunk. Remember, the first time you saw her, she was lying along the trunk. So I basically have two trunks. And this is the garbage can with all the discarded poetry that I talked about at the very beginning. Some blanked, balled up paper. Her love was so strong it made her upset, but not at me, at the world. I helped her get over it. So there's a little hint that she was upset that you've been stalking her, that you loved her, you feel like you've helped her get over it, when actually maybe it doesn't overtly say that you've done anything bad to her, but we'll see what happens. There's some extra cash in here in case you didn't pick up the other sunflower. This basically recounts the story so far. I saw her at sunset, so this was over on the cruise ship. She had to be mine. He is obsessed. I approached her on deck. She blushed and she smiled. So she wasn't interested in him. I tried to convince her that I was her guy. She wasn't quite ready. I knew she was shy. Again, it's bad poetry. So I moved to her block. He moved here. He started stalking her. Now, my original poetry, I'm going to click out of this window for a second here. And there was this whole thing about moving to Pittsburgh, following her to Pittsburgh, and I didn't want to name the neighborhood, so I changed it. Okay, so I moved to her block where I could be near, be her true love, and protect her from fear. You're actually causing her fear. That's a subtle thing here. So Felonious, there's a lot of story in this one. Okay. Pros for Wendy, she's pink. This is reinforcing that Wendy was the pink block, and I could hold her hand. I could hold her hand if she let me. So again, obsession. Now she's gone. So he's blaming her for disappearing. So at this point, Wendy could have disappeared on her own. She could have been disappeared by someone else, or maybe you did it and you were not admitting it to yourself. We have a couple more items in here. And Wendy had pale blue eyes, and Wendy had long white teeth, and Wendy had lofty goals, and Wendy was out of reach. Again, this is the poem that started the whole thought process for me of this map. Here is the list of potentially rhyming words. And then here's the vicious and cruel. She's in love with not loving me. It originally just said in love with not loving, and then I added me to the end. It's actually probably less subtle than I would like, but. And then here's a crumpled photograph of Wendy, the pink blocked girl, and obviously it matches this view right here. I purposely let the colors get a bit skewed when I used image to map, because it was a crumpled photograph. It's not a perfect representation, but I think the player can tell what that is supposed to be. Now, why did I choose to make a map about a stalker? Well, I enjoy showing you something in Minecraft that you've never seen before. In this case, it's a story about you. You're the bad guy. Or are you? So far, except for breaking into her apartment, you haven't really done anything other than write notes to her and go around town and get in her business. While that, I would qualify that as a bad guy, as a stalker, but it's not terrible, right? And I wanted to make a map where you started to doubt yourself and question, like, wait, am I a stalker? Am I a bad guy? Like, what? This is creepy. I wanted you to feel an emotion that you don't normally feel in a Minecraft map. I wanted you to be creeped out by your own character. So if you didn't like the map because it was creepy, then this map is successful. Now here's one of my favorite parts of this map. Let's take a look through the telescope. Huh, who's this new girl in Wendy's apartment? She's still not home. Is she at Turkish Pita? I could bring her her jacket. Huh, so now we've established that her friend, the girl with the cyan jacket, is in Wendy's old apartment. That's why it still smells like Wendy. Remember, it said that when you went into her apartment. And is this her jacket? You're referring to her, the cyan girl, not Wendy. And I could bring it to her. Huh, so Act 2 of this map is brilliantly called Learn About Alex. So Wendy is gone. That was Act 1, or Wendy is missing. And Act 2 introduces Alex. But you don't know her name yet. You're still calling her her. Alright, here we have the landlord. Now, the landlord is actually the first NPC that you come across who wants something from you right off the bat. And he doesn't want the jacket. He says, what am I in adventure mode? What am I supposed to do with this? I saw you with that girl you've been peeping on. She looked a bit upset. You wouldn't want me to blab to them coppers now, would you? Vladimir, thank you for letting me use your head. You look like a grumpy old nasty landlord. No offense. You also look very sophisticated, but the flip side of that is that you could look like a disgruntled landlord. That's right, take back your trash. It's the rent I'm looking for. So he's looking for rent. Now you can give him either the cash or Wendy's paycheck, doesn't matter. But by paying your rent, that actually is something good. You're supposed to pay your rent. And so that actually increases your karma behind the scenes. And he says, that's right, I'll take cash for your rent and your lady friends, and I'll keep my mouth shut about it, you bloody peeping Tom. Obviously, I'm trying to just reinforce that you're a peeping Tom. He knows about it, he's keeping your dirty little secret, and it just makes you as a player feel a little bit more gross. Now that you look through the telescope, the door is open, and some of the buildings are still not open. So the dental office is still not open. Jagarbov is gone. Remember that UPS truck? Gone when you delivered the package. She's gone. She's missing. Talk about that later. And now, oh yeah, so you're supposed to bring her jacket next. So the other things around the outskirts of the town are still as they were, but Alex is gone from the cafe. Her friend is there, and now her friend wants something. She didn't have this item frame here before, if you remember. Oh, I forgot to take this. Oh my gosh. When you take the waitress's thing, her name changes to Tilda. I have absolutely no reason why I wanted to call her Tilda, but I really wanted to call her Tilda. So here's your change. So she's giving you back your change, and she is saying, I hope it's not too forward, but you always seem so sad. So she's got sort of a sympathetic attraction to you, and she asks you if you're a writer. So again, I'm reinforcing the bad poetry, etc. And you think to yourself, I've got to get out of here. You don't want somebody drawing attention to your feelings, and a girl that's coming on to you is unattractive to you. You want somebody that you can stalk. I mean, that's just the way it is. Okay, so her friend wants something. No, that's not mine. She doesn't want cash. Do I know you from somewhere? This is one of the mechanics I've talked about in a couple of vlogs, so I won't go into too much detail, but this is one of my favorite parts of the map is that the dialogue, you can actually make NPCs that respond to different items like in those old point-and-click adventure games. Okay, so I give her the jacket. Oh, that's Alex's jacket. She's always leaving things lying around. In fact, she just went to meet her jogging partner and left her water behind. Someone should take it to her. I'm Misty, by the way. Her name changed to Misty. Alex, you think. The girl in cyan is Alex. Could she help me forget about Wendy? I'll need more medicine first. Okay, so this is the big clue to the transition to Act 3. What kind of medicine could you use? Is it medicine for yourself, or is it medicine to give to Alex? At this point, the cop has become enabled because now he's going to start coming into the picture. Right now, he doesn't take bribes, by the way. Attempting to bribe an officer is a federal crime. And then his tummy grumbles. So, move along now, citizen. So he does want something, but there's a clue there. Okay, so now what happens if you accidentally drink Alex's water before you give it to the jogger? Puff, no thanks. One of the things that I considered doing in this map was having NPCs that once you interact with them, instead of just disappearing, that they would actually turn into an armor stand NPC with colored armor on. So, for example, once I gave this guy an actual water bottle, and by the way, you can refill it right here, or you can use the Mountain Dew bottle that's over in the trash over there. That once you give him what he wants, he would actually turn into an NPC and then actually jog away. And I was going to animate him jogging away. But I thought that I didn't want to put so many special effects into this map. It was getting a little bit too distracting from the story as it was. And so I decided to just leave them as blocks and either have them disappear or just stay. So we give him water. Oh, thanks, Alex? No, I haven't seen her in a few days. Okay, reinforcing Alex. Now Alex is also missing. I think she had a dentist appointment today. Or is today her shopping day? Anyway, gotta run. So now we have the Pump and Munch gas station is open with Thungon. I guess I always think that bearded guys are grubby because he's a grubby gas station attendant. There's a few little special effects here. Just some random potions that can do different things to you. A cherry slushie. We're on peaceful mode, so it doesn't matter. Rice chips and tater chips. So Thungon wants something. So you can purchase something with cash from Thungon. Actually, I'll go ahead and do that. Yesterday's donuts on sale today. We'll have them again tomorrow. So, stale donut. What kind of character likes donuts? Oh, it's a bad pun, isn't it? Policeman. I'm keeping my eye on that shady character over... Ooh, a donut. Thank you, citizen. I'll just eat this over here. Move along now, citizen. Now the shady character wants something from you. Probably money. Is he a drug dealer? So there's three things you can do at this point, and this is going to be the heaviest influencer of your karma. You can give the shady character money to buy some of that medicine that you need. You can go into the Market Up, and by the way, who's in the Market Up? Oh, that's where Alex is. It is her shopping day. But you can only see her name if you're kind of spying on her from over here behind these shelves. You can't get to her. You can't get close enough to her because these other rude people with shopping carts. But you can spy on her. Okay. And shopping carts. I left them empty because I had already had so much stuff in this map that people's inventories were getting clogged. So you could either pay the drug dealer for his medicine, or you can come over here and buy some ZQuil, a sleep aid. And the thought is that the sleep aid is for yourself. You just need to clear your head, and you need to you need to stop having these weird thoughts. So the sleep aid actually gives you positive karma. The drug dealer gives you negative karma. And then there's one more option that you could do. So the jogger also mentioned that Wendy might have a dentist appointment today. Dental Supermax, which is sort of like a prison slash dental office. I don't know why that amused me. There's Mac, the office manager. Ring bell. Oh, that's a... Ooh, man. That's a grammatical error that I'm not going to fix. Ring bell if for service, if office manager is absent. Of course, I always ring the bell even if the person's standing right there. Okay, the doc's with the patient. So basically, you're sneaking back here to steal the chloroform without the doctor noticing. Tooth extractor, mouth separator, blah, blah, blah. You can explore this fun little area. So you have three options. The chloroform, which I've seen at least one person do in their Let's Play. There was the market, so buying the Dayquil or the Z-Quil, but I don't think I saw anyone actually do the drug dealer, so that's what we're going to do this time. So you give him the cash. Pleasure doing business. Some lucky lady's going to be feeling real amenable soon. Rohypnol. If you don't know what Rohypnol is, dissolve in water and get to know her better. Basically, this is called the date rape drug. You go to a club, you put this in someone's drink, and basically they pass out and you can take advantage of them. This is the worst karmic thing that you could do. Well, actually, if you take the chloroform, it says you can put it on a rag, so that's pretty bad too. Meaning you could capture Alex. So at this point, you've either got some sleep aid or you've got some pretty nasty drugs. You are pretty sure that you're a stalker, and now you're back in your apartment building. You can't get out again. The only thing that you can do, it shouldn't take you very long to look around, but the only thing you can actually do is look through the telescope. And this is my absolute favorite part of the map, something no one's ever done in Minecraft before. Alex has clothes on. Alex is naked. Gasp. And then she turns and looks at you. Whoa, she looked right at me, and she was... And then the door. Somebody's knocking at the door. Like, oh my gosh, you've been caught. Now, you can step on this again. It doesn't do anything again. And she's moved away from the window. Oh my gosh, it's the cops. Now, I really loved Jigarbov's reaction when the door knocked. I felt him flinch. Like, oh my gosh, I've been caught. And that is exactly what I wanted to do in this map. So, if no one else likes this map is already successful in my mind. Okay, I wanted to block you from being able to leave your room, but I wanted you to be able to interact with the policeman, and I didn't want to mess around with more item frames, so I just went with the very simple button. So you have to back up a little bit because there's a barrier block here, but you press the button. Sorry to disturb you, but a lady in this building was recently assaulted. Oh, someone else just knocked at my door. And we're asking the tenants if they've seen or heard anything unusual. It seems that she was bludgeoned with a jukebox. So, at this point in the map, if you have bad karma, you will find out that someone attacked... Who had a jukebox? You will find out that someone attacked the piano teacher. And you could assume that it was you. Although you don't have to assume that. It could be someone else. If you have good karma at this point, if you didn't steal those things, if you paid your rent, and if you did one other thing, which I'm totally drawing a blank of what it was that generates good karma, then the message is that a jogger was assaulted or a jogger was poisoned. And if you remember, Alex left her water behind and you gave it to the jogger. So you technically poisoned the jogger, but that means that the water was already poisoned when you got it because you still have your medicines, your drugs. You haven't put them in anything yet. Either way, who's at the door but Alex? And she says, I saw you watching me. Now this is where the final branch of the map comes in, and it's Act 3, it's Wendy's fate. Now, because I have the worst possible karma, I have the trunk key and I'm in my own apartment. And now I can open up the trunk and there's Wendy and Alex. The last time I saw her, she was lying inside the trunk. Paralleling the very first thing that you thought, the first time I saw her, she was lying along the trunk. The last time I saw her, she was lying inside the trunk. I love that symmetry. And then you get teleported up here and you can read about credits. Thank you. If you had had good karma at this point, let me go into game mode A. If you had, game mode C. If you had good karma at this point, you would have been teleported to Alex's apartment, which used to be Wendy's. Windows closed, so you can't escape. And she'd be standing here, and she would basically be saying that, here, take this key. So in your apartment, it's your key. That's why you have it. Here, I decided that she would explain that she had the key, and she says, like, I've been waiting for you to notice me. Now we can be together forever. Wendy's out of the picture. She's not here anymore. So basically, and then you open her trunk, and there's Wendy. So basically, if you had good karma, it would be Alex that had killed Wendy. And she's been stalking you, waiting for, putting herself in your path. Sorry about the music. Waiting for you to stalk her back so that then she could make herself known to you. So really twisted dark story. And a little bit of blocky nudity. So this map isn't something for kids, as I mentioned at the beginning, but it's a vignette. It's a short story. It's a small glimpse into the lives of somebody in the neighborhood. I am really proud of it, and you can look forward to more vignettes in this neighborhood in the near future. They will not all be dark. They will not all be love stories. If you can call that a love story. I guess you could, right? Twisted way. They may be in different time periods. They may not all be in peaceful. Some of them may be combat. Who knows? Maybe a post-apocalypse zombie situation. I don't think so. I'm going to try my best to make them all something you've never seen before. They're all going to be short, 15 to 20 minute. This video was super, super long because I babbled like crazy. But you can see how many small details. Oh, and also, yes, there is blood back here in this alley that you can't get to. But you can see how much heart I put into my custom maps. This is a 50 by 50 area. This is a map told in a tiny, tiny space with very few mechanics, very few command block circuits. It's the same circuit repeated for the different item frames. But the focus of this is the story. And the story isn't told by giving you books with a bunch of background. It's not told by a narrator. It's mainly told by you interacting with NPCs and hearing them speak words to you, and by you being enticed to interact with your environment. And I feel like that means that the story is about you and not about some character you're playing. I never say what your character's name is. I never give any background to your character except through your thoughts and actions, and you are filling in the blanks yourself as a player. I like to think that no one else in Minecraft has done a map like this before, and I hope that you would agree. If you didn't like it, I hope it's because the story invoked an emotion in you, and if you liked it, well then that's great too. So I'll see you next time. Thank you so much, Kavolta, Unlikely Waffle, Jagarbov, Felonius, CPM 4001, and everyone else in my realm who helped inspire this. Everyone who has played our older maps and inspired a lot of the references that I've mixed in. Folks from MHC who appear in this map. And yeah, so that's the first vignette. And that's the story of Wendy.